All right, and welcome back to Anime Rewind, the podcast where we go through our favorite animes episode by episode and break them down with you. Back with me from a long convalescence is Brian.
Hey James, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How was getting your wisdom teeth out?
It was swell. It was actually it kind of sucked because after it happened, like I became extremely nauseous, I think from like the anesthetic or whatever they used to put me under. So that was a problem for a while, but it's all good now.
Yeah, couldn't watch Durarara, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're back with Durarara, episode 7, entitled Badass Dude, which is, yeah, that's a title I can get behind.
Yeah, that's very fitting considering it's an episode about Shizuo.
Yeah, we get Shizuo's backstory, and we've seen a bit of his character in the last 6 episodes, but this is the first one where we get to learn pretty much anything about him.
Right. Yeah, this one really kind of delves into, why he's so strong and his past and what he's afraid of and things like that.
Are you a Shizuo fan, Brian?
I am. I'm a huge Shizuo fan. Shizuo and Celti are probably my favorite characters. Although I like Shinra a lot too, so he's
Oh yeah, I
not
was just gonna
far
ask, do you
behind. But
ship Shizuo and Celtic?
no, I don't. I would ship Shinra and Celti if anyone.
I feel like anybody who likes it, I don't know, they basically have one of three favorite characters. It's either Celti, Shizuo, or Izaya. Uh, but I think you said you like Shinra best, or do you like Celti best?
Yeah, Celti's probably my favorite character if I had to pick one. But yeah, I mean Isaiah I like a lot. I like to hate him, but I still hate him. So
All right, yeah. So let's get right into it. It starts out with Shizuo and I guess his boss, right, Tom, shaking down a dude for money because that's their job. They're loan sharks, and the guy's saying, he accidentally spent the entire loan on this like host girl who he says he's in love with,
right, yeah,
and
she's like a bathhouse girl, and he
right.
swears that it's love.
It's I think over here they call it Soapland, basically, where uh, getting a little seedy, but basically, it's a legitimate quote unquote business where you go in and get a bath from a naked girl covered in soap, right? That's the premise. It's actually just a prostitution ring, right? But
I think it's a
they're
little more nuanced than that now. Go ahead.
they're quite common. You'll see them in the middle of like touristy areas of Tokyo, like in one of like the most iconic parts of Shibuya. There's like, there's the Konbini, and there's the Tokyo Hands, there's the Soapland.
And so these are like technically legal by Japan standards, or
Yeah, they're legal enough. I'm sure they're
yeah.
probably involved in organized crime, and I don't think gaijin are allowed in. So I would. I don't
But
know all the facts, guys. You're gonna have to ask somebody else.
come on, man, you live in Japan, you have to know the facts.
Okay, guys. Next week. All right, I'll let you guys know.
um, yeah, so Shizuo is listening to this guy explain that story, and he doesn't like that very much. Um,
No, he
and
rejects the premise that you could fall in love with that kind of girl.
right, yeah, so obviously the most reasonable course of action is to like pull a street sign out of the ground and hit the man with it.
Yeah, and then we cut to the chat room where uh, Kanra, the orange avatar, and Taro Tanaka, the blue avatar, are talking about how scary Hewajima Shizuo is and how he's gotten more violent and unpredictable recently.
Right. Yep.
And yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess like, he obviously has a reputation of flying off the handle, but like recently even more so than usual, so
And then the black avatar, Seton, sticks up and she's like, "Oh, I don't think I should spread rumors. You don't really know the guy."
yeah. And that's Celti, correct?
Yeah, this is a conversation between Mikado is blue, uh, Izaya is orange, so he's the one talking shit, and then the one sticking up for him is Celti.
So after that, we see Shizuo and Tom. They go to this apartment, and you know, the person they're looking for is missing, and they say that they suspect human traffickers.
Mm. Which is a funny place to go straight to. Maybe he just skipped town. Nope. He's been trafficked for human experimentation.
Right, yeah, I guess that is quite a strange conclusion to jump to, but I think they're trying to like give us a bullet list of terrible things that are happening in Ikebukuro.
Right, because the very next thing we see is someone being hauled off to the hospital, apparently having been attacked by the slasher.
Right, yep. Everyone is like crowded around the ambulance, and that's what they're speculating. And then Shizuo actually catches a glimpse of the slasher. He sees like the red eyes for a second.
Right, and that's when Shizuo starts to be having like his full-on Rorschach from Watchmen moment where he's like stomping around going like, "This city, it stinks. It's a
Yeah,
shit city."
smells like shit, yeah. Um, uh, so after we see the slasher, we also see this guy who's kind of like wearing a trench coat and like a almost Sherlock Holmes-esque hat. He seems to like be observing Shizuo, but we don't know
Yeah,
who he
he's
is.
the journalist from previous episodes who was
Oh, he
asking
was. Oh,
about.
so we do know who he is.
Yeah, yeah. See,
Um,
I guess he was on the case of who's the strongest, and he must have settled on Shizuo because he's here to follow him around.
yeah. So obviously Shizuo, he's frustrated with the current state of Ikebukuro. Smells like shit thing. Um,
This city's a dying whore.
uh, so then he's like walking across all these people, and everyone's saying hi. He walks by Simon. Simon says hi, and Shizuo is like not in the mood to talk. He's pissed about all this stuff that's going on in the city.
Right, and in the Japanese version, there's a funny joke here where, he's like talking to Tom, and Tom's like, "Yeah, don't mind Shizuo. He's going through his rebellious phase," which in Japanese is Hankoki. And because Simon doesn't speak very good Japanese, he's like Honko, which is like your personal stamp with your name on it, where you stamp all your official documents.
Oh, yeah. See, in the English dub, Tom basically says the same thing, except for Simon says like, "Oh, he's acting like he's in puberty," and and Tom's like, "Yeah, basically."
Okay, so he also snubs Karata, who tries to wave to him. And at that point, he looks up at a bunch of movie posters and sees his brother. But next to his brother's movie posters, there's a movie poster for Durarara and Darker Than Black, which are brain space animes that I both liked.
See, I haven't seen those actually. I'll have to check them out though. It's a cool Easter egg though.
Oh, sorry, I meant to say Bakano and Darker Than Black.
Yeah, I figured.
You haven't seen Darker Than
Oh,
Black?
I have seen Bakano, but I haven't seen the what's the other one called?
Darker Than Black.
Darker Than Black. No, I haven't seen that, but I'll have to check it out.
It's pretty good. It's actually the poster in the episode is for season 2 of Darker Than Black, which I actually haven't seen. I've only seen the first season.
But the first season's good.
It's good. It's good enough. Give it a shot.
Yeah. So finally, Shizuo comes across the writer that we saw earlier, um, and he he wants to talk to Shizuo about his actor brother. And we find out that his brother was in some like really popular movie called Vampire Ninja, which
Which
looks
looks
like,
terrible.
yeah, it looks like this ridiculous, like maybe like I don't even know, a grindhouse kind of movie or something. Um, and the writer seems to want an interview with Shizuo to kind of get like an inside scoop on his bro, which that doesn't that doesn't please Shizuo very much.
Yeah, well, he caught him in a bad mood anyway.
Right. And so of course he gets beat with a lamppost. That's kind of the MO here.
Right. And then we flash back to little boy Shizuo, and he explains that he's always had freakish strength and incredible rage. He walks in on his little boy brother, like having just finished Shizuo's pudding that he especially wrote his name on, "Don't
Yeah,
eat."
yeah.
And so Shizuo responds by attempting to throw the refrigerator at him, but being a little elementary school boy, he's only just able to completely lift the refrigerator over his head, and then he stops at that point and gets crushed by the refrigerator.
Yeah, I thought that was funny that that was like the first incident that like really set him off was like he ate a snack. It's like I wrote my name on that, goddamn it. Um, yeah, after that, his anger like I guess became kind of unmanageable. He started like just lifting and throwing things, getting into fights all the time. Um, and like he would do these things in the heat of the moment, like picking something up that's like obviously way too heavy for him to actually pick up, and because of this, he starts like incurring all these injuries and broken bones.
Right, but this really excites his classmate, who's little boy Shinra,
Yep, yeah,
and
yeah.
he
He
comes to
theorizes that like Shizuo's brain doesn't perceive risk, so therefore he can like charge through his injuries and accomplish like these great feats of strength.
yeah, and because he's always injured, in his childhood neighborhood, there's a bakery with a kindly shop attendant who gives him a bottle of milk whenever he passes by to help, I guess, fix his broken bones.
Right. Yeah, and it seems like Shizuo might have a little bit of the puppy dog love thing going on about her because he blushes when she like helps him out and stuff. But anyways, he sees her one day and she's like being assaulted inside her shop, and like in this blind rage, he's just like kind of blacks out, and when he reawakens, he's like absolutely destroyed the entire shop. All the thugs that were assaulting the lady have been knocked to the ground, but also he it seems like he may have ended up hurting the bakery lady by mistake in the process.
Right, and he's completely trashed the shop. You know what this reminds me of? You ever seen the anime movie Tekken Kincrete, Brian?
I haven't. No.
Ah, okay. Well, there's a little boy who like attacks a bunch of yakuza in that movie and like also destroys the building they're in. It's a really good one. You should check it out.
I'll have to make a list. um, so yeah, after this whole incident, obviously Shizuo is like very upset, and he's he seems worried that others are going to fear him because of his abilities. There's a moment where him and his bro are talking, and his bro is actually like pretty supportive. Like he asks his brother, are you afraid of me? And the brother says, nah. Kind of just like casually to kind of help make Shizuo feel normal about it.
Yeah, and it's a nice little moment. So then we time jump a little bit to high school. Shinra and Shizuo are both attending Raira Academy, which is where Mikado, Kita, and Henri, end up going in the future, right?
Hmm.
And they're both, because they were middle school friends and now they're in the same high school, they've kind of developed a bond, and that's how uh, Shizuo knows Celti. He actually, he met her through Shinra, kind of mutual acquaintance.
Right. And in this time, like we saw earlier, Kid Shenra, this is something that we forgot to mention, but he says that he wants to like study Shizuo. I think he might even say dissect him.
Yeah.
um, and uh, and so we skip forward in time. They're in this high school together, and he's still kind of nagging Shizuo to study him.
And on the first day of school, we find out that Izaya also attended Raira Academy. And after a big fight, which seems to have started during a soccer game, Shinra decides to introduce them.
Right. And it's funny because like Shizuo's inner monologue is like I don't know why, I just hate him. There's not any reason for it. But like I just think it's funny that he's kind of like he's not able to like have that kind of self-reflection to figure out why Isaiah um, rubs him the wrong way.
But they're pretty evenly matched in the fight. Izaya's got the speed advantage, and Shizuo's got the strength advantage, so they never really seem to be able to come to a conclusive fight, but Izaya does always seem to get the best of Shizuo. Like in their first encounter, that ends up with him chasing him through the streets of Ikebukuro, and Isaiah setting it up so that Shizuo would get hit by a truck.
Right. Yeah, Isaiah has a lot of fun just kind of fucking with Shizuo. And he even like sicks all these thugs on Shizuo. And it takes a while for Shizuo to figure this out. He's really confused why he's just being attacked by all these gang members. But later on, he does find out that, of course, it's Isaiah who's put these gang members up to it.
Yeah, there's a great scene where he's like pacing back and forth in his house, like muttering about how he's so angry about all this bad luck he's having, and his little brother hands him, the same milk that he would have gotten from the shop lady. And you realize now that there's a double meaning to that, because you drink milk for calcium to fix your bones, but then in Japan they also believe that a lack of calcium will lead you to have a bad temper and get angry. So that's why his brother's like giving him the milk in that moment.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I mean, I knew that I kind of thought it was more symbolic in like a broader sense, but I didn't know that there was the idea that in Japan that if you lack calcium that your temperament goes up.
So after that, he mentions like, Shinra graduated, became a doctor. Isaiah graduated, became an information broker. Shizuo graduated and became like a McDonald's guy, but he
Hmm.
lost that job.
Yeah, he has a very hard time holding down jobs due to his temperament. His brother's very supportive of him, like at this time when he's kind of going through all these jobs, and it's him that comes in while he's on one of his jobs as a bartender and gives him all these bartender uniforms as kind of encouragement to, hold this job down.
Yeah, but because of an incident that we don't really get the details of, but Isaiah sets him up and he gets arrested and he loses his bartender job.
Right, yeah, and he feels like he's kind of let his bro down.
But it's just at that moment that I guess his middle school friend Tom catches up with him and offers him a job as a loan shark slash bodyguard slash mafia enforcer.
Right. So yeah, he gets a job as being the muscle for them, and at this point, we also see, Shizuo's brother, Casca, is like getting very famous.
Yeah, he's like a schlocky teenage idol movie star, and he does the basic thing where he's like shooting a film in Tokyo, and then all the girls are freaking out around him.
Right. And then we time skip like kind of back to the present, and Tom and Shizuo are they're trying to collect a debt from these like obnoxious what seem to be teenagers. Um, and they don't know who Shizuo is, surprisingly, despite his reputation. And they're really kind of antagonizing him. One guy spits coffee up onto the outfit that his brother gave him, um, and and they call him a butler because he's wearing, the bow tie and the dress shirt, and they tell him to go get him a drink. So
Yeah, so
probably
he
wasn't the
loses
best
it.
idea.
He destroys them, and it seems like he destroys that game center too.
Right.
Just like completely messes everything
Yeah,
up.
he tears like one of the jumbotrons down and smashes it.
So I mean, it's not lost on me that like Shizuo clearly isn't that introspective because the whole incident with the shop attendant at the bakery, which set him off, was her being shaken down for money by like Yakuza. Now, what is Shizuo's job now? He shakes people down for loan shark money, basically becoming the same thing he hates. But I don't think that it's like the Shizuo's not that bright, and he wouldn't put that together.
Right.
Basically,
Yeah, he's like a good guy, but he may be a little bit dumb. So then we hear a monologue from Shizuo about how he actually hates violence. He doesn't like snapping, um, but he wants to become stronger. Uh, uh, he wants to become strong in the sense that he will someday be able to contain his anger. So
yeah, and he feels a kinship with Celti. He sees her drive by, and he has a feeling that they're the same in some way.
yeah, which makes sense because like everyone. Earlier we see when he's talking to his brother, he's afraid that people are going to be afraid of him, like he's a monster because of his abilities, and obviously, like Celti is a monster, like in a more literal sense, even though
Right.
you know she's not a monster, but she comes from that kind of lore and stuff. So,
Yeah, come on,
uh,
Brian. At least call her an enchantress.
yeah, yes, as the great Shinro would say. But yeah, so the whole it turns out that the whole episode was kind of Shizuo telling all those events to Celti. He's like venting to her, and Celti seems to really admire Shizuo's love for his little bro. And yeah, and he kind of is doing some self-reflecting and talking about how him and Celti are very similar in their situations.
Right, and then after she departs, he's kind of walking home, but then he sees Isaiah in Ikebukuro, and he's kind of like banned Isaiah from Ikebukuro, like Biff in Back to the Future. He's like, I don't want to see you in Ikebukuro, basically. But then he does see him, and he chases after him, but Isaiah disappears, and then we get the really like the iconic scream that he's always doing.
Right, yeah, the Darth Vader, right? Yeah, he's pretty mad about that. Isaiah usually is able to give him the slip somehow.
Does that like he shouts his name in basically half the scenes he's in. He screams Isaiah.
Yeah, he really doesn't like him very much, does he?
They've got a very like Looney Tunes esque relationship.
That's true. It's true. So I thought that was a really good episode. I liked that. I liked learning about Shizuo's past and characters that are like super strong like that. It's kind of hard to give them a weakness, but they did a really good job with it because like you really do feel for Shizuo and his past.
Yeah, and one thing I'm noticing right now is that we really blew through recapping this episode. I don't have very many notes on this episode. This was the most straightforward storytelling so far. Like
Yeah, it
this
was
wasn't
very
like,
focused on Shizuo.
but then the structure also was straightforward. It wasn't like Memento Mori, where it's like being played backwards. We actually were able to tell one beginning, middle, and end without bouncing all over the timeline and different character perspectives.
Right, and even times where like it went to like a flashback or something, it came back to present day to kind of recenter everything. So
Yeah, thanks for taking it easy on us, Durarara.
yeah, I know some of those episodes are brutal in terms of note taking.
Okay, so, no big surprise. Didn't get any tweets this week, but
I feel like every at the end of every one is just like us very shamefully saying like, oh, no tweets this time.
that's all right.
It's
Someday we're gonna get one dude who's like a dedicated Twitter aficionado. He'll tweet us every week, I'm sure, and it won't just be me pretending to be someone else, or maybe it will. Who knows?
whatever works, right?
But I thought since we don't have any tweets to speak of, you guys listening, thanks. We could introduce an end of the show segment, which I like to call the Weekly Weeb-out, where we'll talk about why we're weebing out this week. So,
It's a great
how
name
about
for a
you?
segment.
I know we need to think of a jingle to play each time. How about you, Brian? What are you weebing about this week?
Oh, I'm probably weaving out about. I got my like Holy Grail anime figure, which is the Good Smile Company's version of the Unlimited Blade Works Rin, and that's like a figure. I talked to you about wanting to get it maybe like a couple months back or something. I've been trying to get it for the longest time, but because it's been out of print for a long time, just I've been having a hard time tracking it down, and finally I did track it down, and I have it now, and I have it set up in my display case, and it makes me very happy. So that's what I'm weaving out about this week.
Did it cost you a pretty penny?
It did cost a pretty penny, but I think it's worth it because it's definitely like the favorite of all my figures probably.
So, if I remember correctly, this is her kind of making a pose with a bunch of like swords in the background.
Right. Yep. Yeah, it's
Yeah, that
actually
was a cool one.
taken from the illustration that I believe is either on the front or the back cover of the Unlimited Blade Works movie.
All right, great. So I know I'm late to this party, but I've been playing Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse a lot lately, and that's probably what I'm weaving about most of the time. Uh, it's not an amazing game. It's the fight style is really repetitive, but what's cool is that you get to see all these different alternate setups of like famous Dragon Ball Z arcs. Like, so basically, there's a bad guy who's going back in time and changing things so that the outcome of Dragon Ball Z arcs is bad instead of good, right? So, just for one example, like when Vegeta and Nappa come to Earth in this scenario, they release like 20 Cybermen instead of like the five that they originally sent out. And so, because of that, all the main characters get their asses completely kicked. And by the time Goku shows up, Vegeta and Nappa haven't even fought yet. And Vegeta and Nappa both go Uzaru and just like destroy Goku. And so, you have a original character that you design, you send them in to, right the wrong and set history right again.
Yeah, that kind of stuff's really cool. I really appreciate when they do that in video games because it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like it's for fans of the show to like because it's like interactive fan fiction basically. Like it lets you take part in these like wacky scenarios that like you probably just dream up on your own when you're bored.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting. The character selection is pretty cool. You can make a human. I don't know why you would. You can make a human or a Saiyan, a Namekian, whatever Frieza is, or you can make like a Majin Buu character, which I think most people would go for a Saiyan. That's what I went for, and it's really funny because like your character will appear, and the other characters will react, and they'll be like, "What? There's another Saiyan? Like, how is this possible?" Like.
So let me ask you, obviously like uh, Namekian isn't usually stronger than a Saiyan, but do they even out the stats and everything in
Yeah,
the
I mean,
game?
as you level up, you just get, stronger and stronger.
In that
You know.
case, I think my choice would be a Namekian because I really like their design.
Well, I'm all about transformation, so I think after I beat it as a Saiyan, I might go through it again as like a Frieza person, just because
Yeah,
I like
that
to
would be cool.
transform. And I rolled a female Saiyan because I wanted to finally see what it looked like if a girl Saiyan went Super Saiyan, and it was a real letdown. Instead of her hair getting spiky the way a dude's would, it just turns yellow.
Oh, but it's like in the same position and everything.
Yeah, it's pretty lame.
Yeah, that's too bad. Oh well, but I mean it's cool that at least they did that because they certainly didn't do that in the show.
No, no.
So I think that's everything that we have to say for this episode. We want to thank everyone for listening in. And if you guys are into collectibles, I have a YouTube channel, and I realized that at the end of all these podcasts, I've been telling you to type the wrong thing into YouTube.
Ah,
Um, I
Brian.
said it was great figure hoarder, all one word, but it's really great space figure hoarder, all one word. So, yeah, if you're interested in collectibles, definitely go check out that channel.
Yeah, and if you want to tweet us about Durarara episode 8, we will totally read that out on the show. Not that you want to do that, but you could.
You should.